octet rule helps us to explain how the charge is associated with ions. So the octet rule says that atoms are going to either lose, gain, or share electrons to form, to become like a noble gas. So positively charged ions are going to lose electrons to become like the previous noble gas on the periodic table, whereas negatively charged negatively charged ions are formed when electrons are gained to become the following noble gas on the periodic table. Main group elements and most elements are going to lose those, even the transition metals are going to lose those valence electrons to become like a previous noble gas, whereas our non-metals are going to gain electrons to become the next noble gas. Why would atoms in nature react to achieve noble gas configuration? I already gave you all this answer a little while earlier, but why do you think this happens? Just to check to see if you were paying attention. Why do atoms in nature react to achieve noble gas electron configuration? What's the purpose? Why? Who was listening earlier? Any takers? Stanley. No? Armando? Stanley, you didn't unmute yourself. Armando?
They want to become like stability.
Right, they want to be stable, and noble gases have how many electrons in their outer valence shell, Stanley?
8.
Yes, they have 8. So all of these atoms that are undergoing these changes, they want to have 8 electrons in their valence shell. And valence shell electrons are only found in the S and P shells. Only found in the S and P orbitals. Let me stop this share right quick and share. Let me share a different screen.
Only on the S and P orbitals?
Yes, only on the S and P orbitals. And let me share my screen right quick. Can you guys see my web page coming up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So if we look here, let's look at titanium. Notice that in the expanded view of our electron configuration, notice that the highest energy level that's filled has a 5 in front of it. So notice our valence electron, well, our configuration is Kr, chromium. Where am I? Titanium. No, it's, sorry, it's, can I use this?
Argon.
Yeah, it's going to be argon, 4s2, 3d2. But notice that if you look in the middle where you see those, the electrons going up and down, the arrows, notice that 4s, although the energy is slightly lower than the 3d electrons, notice that the highest number energy level is 4. So the valence electrons are only going to be in the highest numbered energy level. Let's take a look at calcium. Notice that the highest, the electrons in the highest numbered energy level are in the 4s. Even if I'm looking at, let's see, let's not look at one that's not normal. Okay, technetium. Notice that we have the highest numbered energy level is 5, and 5 what? 5s. So those 2 electrons in the 5s energy level are going to be the valence electrons. So technetium is going to lose how many electrons to become like what noble gas in its valence, its outer valence shell? Anybody know? Technetium is going to lose how many electrons? Go ahead and put it in the chat. Charlene, what's your answer? Yeah, it's going to lose 2 electrons, and it's going to become like what? What noble gas in its valence shell? Yes, krypton. Okay, so let's look at like germanium. Look at germanium. Germanium has how many total valence electrons? How many electrons are there in the highest energy level? So first, what is the highest energy level in germanium? What do we get? Shout it out for me.
4s.
4.
4s.
So, some of you are saying 4s and some of you saying 4p. The highest energy level is going to be
4p.
4. Listen, the highest energy level is 4. I didn't ask you what orbitals.
Oh.
I asked you the energy level. So the highest energy level is going to be 4. Now, what orbitals do we have those electrons in? Now we can say what?
The S and P.
The S and P orbitals. And it has a total of how many valence electrons? How many, folks?
4.
4.
4.
All right? So valence electrons are always going to be in the highest energy level. So bromine, it's in group 17 or 7A, is going to have 7 valence electrons. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And if we look at the configuration over to the left, we've got 4s2, 4p5. Okay? So when it gains an electron, it's going to become like who?
Krypton.
Krypton. But what about potassium? Potassium is going to do what? Is it going to lose or gain electrons?
Lose.
It's going to lose, and it's going to become like who?
Argon.
Argon. So you notice how the condensed electron configuration contains the noble gas for which an atom will lose or gain electrons to become like, well, to a degree. So the ones that are the nonmetals, that abbreviated electron configuration is going to have the previous noble gas, but it's always going to gain electrons to become like the following or the next noble gas. Whereas our metals are going to have that previous noble gas in its condensed. Sorry guys, it was a mosquito. It was going to bite me. Sorry, it was going to bite me. So the metals are going to have the previous noble gas. So all abbreviated electron configurations are going to have the previous noble gas in brackets, followed by all of the rest of the electrons. So if we want to know if it's a metal, we know that that metal is going to lose electrons to become just like that atom in the brackets. Whereas if we're looking at a non-metal, it's going to gain electrons to not become like the noble gas in the brackets, but the following noble gas. Okay? Back to the PowerPoint. So taking a look at this example where we have, so why is bromine trying to be like krypton and not argon? Because it would have to take too many electrons to lose to be like argon.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And for transition metals, you're always going to look at the highest energy level. Let's go Oh shoot, I didn't mean to stop the share, sorry. Let's go back to the periodic table. So zirconium. Notice that the highest number or the highest energy level is 5. Where are those electrons found? In the s orbital, in the 5s orbital. So it's going to lose electrons in the 5s orbital. So if I was to say what the valence, what the electron configuration of zirconium would be once it became a 2+ ion, it would be krypton in brackets 4d2. That would be the ion electron configuration for something like zirconium. Or let's say manganese. Its ion electron configuration would be argon in brackets 3d5, because it's going to lose those 2 4s electrons. All right, back to the PowerPoint. So how does this reaction occur between a metal and a non-metal? So sodium is going to react with chlorine to form sodium ion and chloride ion. Notice that once sodium, so sodium has one or any atom that's found in the 1A group or group 1, it's going to have 1 electron, right? And here's that 3s1 electron that it's going to donate to our chloride here, our chlorine atom that has its valence electron is going to be the 3s2, 3p5. It has 7. Notice that in our little Lewis structure, it's got 7. And it's going to donate that ion to the chlorine atom. And now what we see is that our sodium is going to be positively charged. And because it no longer has that ion, has that electron in the 3s, right? So we can actually cross that out. We can actually cross this guy out, right? And now we're left with neon electron configuration. And our chlorine now has its extra electron added here, and now it becomes the chloride ion. And notice that we changed from 3p5 to 3p6, and now I have my argon electron configuration, all right? Because now we have filled that outer shell that had 7, and now it has 8. So notice, what can we say about the size of ions versus the size of the actual atom? Notice that, oh goodness, so sorry y'all, my allergy medicine is not working. The sodium atom is larger than the sodium ion. So because it loses that outer electron, it is going to now lose a whole energy level. So now the ion itself is smaller than the atom. Alternately, when I have a nonmetal, the atom is going to be smaller than the what am I trying to say? The atom is going to be smaller than the anion, because we actually gain another valence electron, and so it takes up more space. Okay, so cations are smaller than the parent atom, and anions are larger than the parent ion. I'm sorry, the parent atom. Let's write that down. So the cation are larger than the parent atom.
Smaller.
Sorry, smaller. That's why we have Rihanna on here to keep me in check. And the anions are larger than the parent atom. Thank you, Rihanna. All right. So how can we use the periodic table to help us predict the charge of these main, oh man, it's 11:01 already. Predict the charge of the main group elements. Let's do this really quickly and then I'm gonna let you go. So if we look at the groups themselves, this is how we know. Groups 1A through 3A, the ionic charge is going to be equal to the group number. The charge is equal to the group number. Groups 5A to 7A, the charge is going to be the group number minus 8. So if I'm in 7A, that's going to be 7 minus 8. So it gives me a -1. So this is when we're looking at the A version, not 17 or 16, because that doesn't make any sense. But when we're looking at the Roman numerals, 1A, 2A, 3A, 5A, 6A, 7A, that's how we're going to get the charge. And notice that the noble gas, because these are non-metals, 8 minus 8 gives us 0, and it has no charge. All right, I'm going to end up here.